All right, let's take a look at Daddy BTC. So we can jump on this from time frame to time frame here. So Bitcoin is in an ascending triangle currently. The 4-hour did SFP. So swing failure, we took out the highs. There's the candle, took the liquidity, closed below. So in reality, if this wasn't at all-time highs, this would be your short setup, all right? Something till like that, all right? It's about a 3-hour trade. You have easy invalidation, market short stops above the wick. Now, when it comes to all-time high SFPs, right, it's easy, like, I've seen this happen multiple times. Yes, we took out these highs here. This candle can actually go take out these highs before we start dumping. I just don't think the risk to reward is there to short this. But, you know, if you are a degen, this would be your setup. Short at current market price, stops above the wick, and, you know, we have to go to a lower time frame to find targets, but this is your order block target. This could also be a rounding pattern, right? So TP1 would come around 91.7300-ish. But again, it doesn't make sense to short something when we are at all-time highs here. So ascending triangle pattern, all right? I see this used incorrectly a lot of the times. People will call this an ascending triangle. Let's assume that price is doing this, okay? If price comes down, this is a descending triangle, right? Ascending means to the upside, so price is going up, all right? We have a flat resistance line. It's cleaner on lower time frames. Flat resistance line and then an uptrend, okay? So this has targets, technical targets, of 100K, all right? Price needs to flip, retest this level, okay? If that happens, this would be your entry. If the retest is successful, stops below previous lows, and you target that 100K level. It's about a 5-hour trade. And again, the short setup would be something like this. I'm just going to place it here. Sorry, my dog is choking in the background. Something like this. Okay. But that's it for Bitcoin. I mean, there's no other way to currently play this unless we go to, you know, a higher time frame and we look for levels to, you know, play. Now, you all know my strategy. You know, if it's a range, then we're going to play mid-range and range lows. Okay, so if I were to remove this line really quickly, and we go and talk about the range, talk about levels. Okay, there is your support. Your range low is actually going to be this level here. This is the low. But you have support up here. You have mid-range at this level. You have more support touches up here, so let's call that mid-range. Right, but if we're going to talk about range, here's your range low, there's your range high, here's your true resistance, here's your true support. Right? So this would be your setup. Okay? Now notice how we got to range highs, came back to the support at mid-range and bounced. Yeah, my dog's choking. Right? I'm going to remove this really quickly. So here is technical targets and technical ways to play the range. Okay. So we tapped range highs, right? Came back to mid-range. When we are in a range and we are at range highs, you don't long anything. You place limit orders at mid-range. This came and tapped it perfectly, and then we went higher, right? If we are at mid-range, so if we were to go and let's say we were here, okay, it's very, very tricky to play anything at mid-range. I would have set limits at range lows, and then, played range lows to the upside. So it's like same thing here, right? We went to range highs here. It was the first touch, right? We came back down. Mid-range is very tricky, especially when we have consolidation on it. Always place limits at range lows. We came back down to range lows. Mid-range was TP1. Range high was TP2, right? Then we went to touch TP2. So right now, for me personally, this is just a patience game, okay? We can play the mid-range level, we can set the range low levels, but ideally, if we are going to go back to current price, if we want to long here, we need this to retest the range high level, hold, and then we're targeting this long, okay? Market long stops below this wick here, targeting 100K. That's how I would play it. So there's the risk to long here is very high. The risk to short here is very high. Whenever I'm stuck in that predicament, I just go to something else. Right? Set your limits and just wait. Okay. Now, if you want to add to your positions, if we get a deep retrace, 86 down to 82 is a very good area to add. I don't know if we get it, but I've spoken about the... Okay, this thing is pissing me off. I've spoken about, previous cycles and how much of a dip we've had, right? Things can't always go up, all right? So like we had this dip here of 20%. We had this dip here, right? And on smaller time frames, there's definitely more dips, right? So we will have many of these, and eventually we will get a dip from here. That's gonna be like 10 to 15%. Don't be emotional. We're in an uptrend. Keep buying until we have lost the trend. In my opinion, again, altcoins haven't done anything, right? Bitcoin dominance is still leading. This is getting bullish and bullish every single day. Weekly, with that weekly, you don't want to, really focus on alts right now. This is the Bitcoin show. Eventually, this will die. Funds will rotate into ETH and other altcoins eventually. All right. So that's it for Bitcoin. Again, not much to do there, in my opinion. You can take that risky short if you want, but again, there's no reason to short. Bitcoin spot premium is up 50 compared to perps. This has been leading ever since yesterday. I was getting DMs from close friends, saying like, "Hey, Bitcoin spot price is leading. Like it reset after we had that dump to 88.9K or whatever it was." So again, I would be cautious shorting here. All right. Now ETH, different. All right. Covered this in my last video, also on my Twitter. Falling wedge breakout. All right. We longed here. Got the rejection from this level. This is the key level that I mentioned. If we are able to flip this $3,200 level, let's put that resistance line there. Flip this $3,200 level, then yes, we will go to 34 to 3,700. All right. Key resistance, we've had multiple issues with it. It was support, we lost it, and it's resistance now. And honestly, like, this will eventually run. Okay, we're not making lows. We haven't broken structure, but again, simple range play here. Right, we have our support. If we get back down to the 3K level, and the levels I mentioned in my video were this. right? So that 3K level here, okay, 3K level here is a good entry if you haven't got in from my 30. We're actually at break even right now. 29.64 down to 28.50 is where I want to heavily DCA. All right, and that will be my final buys of this shitcoin for the rest of the cycle, and I'm targeting new highs from there. All right, so we have a double retest here of the head and shoulders neckline will be actually rejected. Okay, here's the neckline, rejection, deviation, and we're back to rejecting here. So 30 or 3K down to 29,650 is a good entry point if we do take a dip on Bitcoin. Post the Bitcoin chart, sure. Okay. Again, ETH is at resistance here. My dog is now gone from choking to detective. So sorry for the barking if you hear it. But let's do a clean chart here on ETH. Okay. And we'll focus on a 2-hour time frame here. So we rejected from the 2K or $3,200 resistance. Now, I see this as two different things, right? You can see this as a corrective way, right? You can see this as a bear flag. Whoops. Right? Here's the bear flag targets. Right, down to that 28.50 level. Or you could see this as a slight corrective ABC. And I don't really get into Elliott waves here, but here's the impulse up, right? Here was the last lower high, or sorry, higher high, and then made a lower low. So if this is going to be something like A, B, C, everything ties up with, you know, a move down to 28.50, right? But also you can have impulse waves here, which again, not super great with them, but we do, right? This could be our fifth wave up and starting that new trend up, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 should be a little bit longer, but 4 and then 5. And then if this is going to be our impulse wave up, we have 1, 2, maybe, you know, a 3, 4 into new highs 5. Now again, I'm not an Elliott wave expert, but these all, you know, everything, the fifth wave would have to be lower. What, like something here? Take a sweep of these lows. About long is 2 and 3. Yeah. I just see it as a failed fifth wave unless I see this. I see the ABC. My 5 wave count isn't as strong, but I can tell the ABC lines up everything with this area here. Also, we have confluence of the bear flag, right? However, yeah, Elliott waves are terrible. However, this is the level that we need to get above. Okay. Now let's take a look at this on a higher time frame, right? If we are talking about structure and we have, you know, all these highs being made, if we're talking about this being our last lower or higher low here, right? We broke structure here with a lower high, double bottom. Here's the lower low. Here is your last lower high. So we do have a break of structure on a higher end. Again, come back down. Everything lines up with 2850 being hit, right? Strong demand zone here. We lost it. Come back down to that 2850. That's where I would long, right? So in essence, front run it a little bit. That's why I put 2964 and target something like that. All right. That would be the ideal setup, in my opinion, on a higher time frame ETH chart. Lower time frame, we just got to weather out the storm. All right, so here is your demand. Here is your resistance. All right, so lower time frame, if you're looking for longs, range low. TP1, TP2, and TP3. Eventually this is going to break hard, but again, playing a range. You're going to take this, especially with how weak ETH has been. It's eventually, I mentioned this on my Twitter, it's going to put in one of the most hated rallies eventually, right? But with the setup, you're going to keep playing it over and over again. Especially with, right? It comes perfectly into that rejection of the 786 fib. Yes, it could, do a mild rejection here, but hopefully wicks into there and then finally down. So I'll put that there as well. Okay, and then last but not least, Solana. So nothing has really changed from the buy areas of where I want to enter. For those that didn't watch my video, I mentioned when things go into price discovery, so like for example here on Sol, right, our local highs here was 209, 2010, let's call it 210 for shits and giggles and easier to play off. Whenever we break above, we always retest that high, so it's a great area to get into, right? So when it's above, retest it, flipped it as support, and then continued up, right? Same concept applies here. This was our local highs, right? 225. We never had that successful retest, all right? Now we are flirting here with all-time highs, okay? And eventually it's going to come super fast. But if Bitcoin is to dip here, right, we also have a possible rising wedge forming. Okay. Target for this rising wedge upon breakdown, close to that 225 area. So hopefully a wick into that the buy zone. And that's where you're going to buy. Like 225 down to 210, if we are given the opportunity, is an area to buy. But again, I don't know if we're going to get it. We need a deep retrace. It's just that Sol is so close to all-time highs, we may just continue to grind higher. But you got to ask yourself, do you want to trade Sol? Do you want to hold Sol? There's two different, it's the answer or the answer that you want are completely different depending on what you want. If you want a target of 500, why does it matter if the price is 243 or 225? Just buy it in DCA. Now, if you're trading, if you want a quick, 20, 30%, then yes, you want to find the optimal entry, right, on leverage. But when it comes to investing, just buy and DCA down. It doesn't really matter what entry you're going to get. If you're aiming for $400 or $500, all right? But For me, I'm already in this long term. I want that the optimal entry for my trading port, so I'm waiting for that 225. Whether it's going to give or not, either I get it or I wait for confirmation above all-time highs that I can trade that higher. Okay. So this is already shared in my channel, but I'll post it here. Yeah, that $17 to $26 region is where I bought and never bought again for my what do you call it? For my long-term port. I've never bought again. Do you think Bitcoin could retest the major support at 72K? Well, yes and no. Let me show you why. So we have that stupid CME gap, right, from 77 to 81K, all right? If we do get a huge move down, like this is already like 20%, right? 24%, if we take a look at previous dips, if you took that short, you're chilling. But if we take a look at previous dips here, wow. I haven't touched this chart in a bit. Okay. Depending on how much higher we go, but there's only one time that we got a dip of 25%, especially from all-time highs down like that. But we didn't have ETFs or institutionals buying at this price. Are they crazy to buy at 93K? Yes, they obviously are, but they're going to shake you out eventually, and we're going to have these type of liquidation wicks. So if you want, and it's during the what do you call it? For me, during the holiday seasons is when you have that type of fuckery, right? Like there's low liquidity, people are enjoying their time off, and then you have a huge, sell-off event. We had two, didn't we? Didn't Sailor buy and BlackRock buy? BlackRock just bought like 43.8 million or something. Yeah, and I mean, yes, they bought at OTC, like over-the-counter trades, so probably at a discount than what we have currently here, but they're still buying above 90K. Right, so that short's going well. Now, before I go into taking suggestions here, I gave literally just one big conviction trade, all right, in the video, in my channel, and that was Dogecoin. Okay, this is the exact setup that I gave in the video, but also the exact setup that I took for my spot call. Entry 36, final TPs at 47 cents, but Doge is going to continue to being strong because it's the original meme coin, especially with Elon and the shit show of a cabinet we're about to have next year. Going into the next 5 to 6 months, we are going to have Dogecoin being strong. My targets for this originally was 80 cents. Is just E here. I don't know. I can't see. I have everything down, but 80 cents is my target. I'm actually raising that to $1.25 to 30. Okay, now I understand that the market cap is so high, but look at what XRP did. All right, XRP, one of the most useless shitcoins on the face of the earth, with a market cap this high, put in a 68%. Okay, just in the week and a half. So what happens if Sol is able to break that dollar barrier, right? This was the barrier for XRP. Right? Whenever we burst through this, I can keep going further back. Whenever we burst through this level, we just put in a giant candle up. Now, sure, dollar. Okay. Now imagine XRP doing this once a dollar breaks, right? It's going to just put in a monster candle. So that's why I'm raising my price targets to $1.20. Wait until retail actually starts buying this crap, right? So $1.20 to, I don't want to keep raising my targets, and plus don't live or die by people's targets. People that give price targets are, in my opinion, delusional in all aspects of the word. But again, like, who's going to believe, what, Bitcoin going to 400K by the end of the cycle? Like, I just don't see that happening. And there's a lot of discords and influencers out there, right, are saying X is going to this price, or this is going to that price. Just look at charts and just play charts. Don't be so attached to numbers, right? Thank you. All right. So I'm going to open up the floor to suggestions for 30 minutes, and I'm going to run through as many coins as possible in a fast way. All right. So, and I'm going to go in order. So if I miss something, then I will get to it eventually up until 1 o'clock, and then I got to go. Bonk. Boink. All right. Bonk is in all-time highs. It's just like Bitcoin here. All right. So let's go to lower time frame. This is when I called it. We are up at 41%. Now we just have to, I'm going to go to a different chart because I want this chart. All right. So let's talk about Bonk really quickly because I think it's important. It hasn't even been listed on Coinbase. And eventually when it does, it's going to pull a dog with a hat effect, right? But you can draw trend-based fibs. You can do, I haven't really changed my fib settings on this, right? But okay, this can keep, like, I drew it from this swing low to this swing high down to this swing low here, right? And it's rejecting at all levels. So 1.38, 1.16, sorry, 1.61, and so on and so forth. I can't really do, TA in price discovery, but these are fibs where we could see reactions. But if we were to go to a lower time frame, and when you have price discovery like this is how you're going to play it. Buy zone is going to be here for now. Right, so from what is happening today? So from 514 down to 484. Okay, now be careful here because we could easily be putting in some type of 3 drive. Okay, it's an upward channel, so come back down here and do something like this. I don't know if we dump from here or continue up, but when you see these channels, the breakout and the retest of the channels are going to be big. All right, Pepe had it, Dog with a Hat had it, but we could be forming something like this. So I'll put this here. I'm going to make this buy zone green. If you're colorblind, I'm sorry. All right. Myro. Oh wait, sorry. Before I do that, here are possible fib targets. I love how every single coin suggestion is a meme coin. That's what we've come to. That is what we've come to. The one thing that I've always shilled in my class and Twitter and servers was the cycle of crypto, right? The end of the cycle starts with memes pumping. And look at this. Well, like, memes are actually pumping. I mean, we had Dino coins pumping. We had XRP, Litecoin pumping. That is also a top signal. Everything's changed. All right. So Myro, resistance here, right? I wouldn't get into positions until we are above here. We are testing support. I would not like us to deviate back under this range. Okay, if we get back below, I mean, yes, we are putting in a higher high here, but if we get back below and do something like this, I would probably go to this order block here. That's where I would buy. Otherwise, I'd wait for this red level to be flipped before we get in. So this is what I would go with Myro. Put in another higher low here, and then grind higher. These are going to be quick, all right? Just to get through all these. What the frick is Tucker? Oh my god. I'm about to go to the next one. Fuck Tucker Carlson. Alright. I really can't do TA when coins look like needles like this. Yeah, I really can't do TA on this. Because it's not playing to TA here. This looks like a fucked up voodoo doll. But this would be your buy zone. This would be your buy zone. We're at the buy zone almost. Did you hear that sigh? So sad looking at this cycle. All right, AVAX. Wait, I need this chart. All right. So AVAX is tricky here because on one end you can say that this looks like a double top. Okay. On the other end, you can say that this looks on a 4-hour to be some type of cup and handle. Right? We have the cup. And then we have the handle. Right? 3650 is our resistance, so break above that. But we are getting close to a decision point here. This either continues, we're at the apex of this triangle or this wedge. We saw what happened with Pepe, and I'll take a look at that as well. But clear range, right? Range highs, range lows. I'd probably buy there again, all the way down to the same levels in my AVAX call, so down to 2950 it was. Right there. So starting entry bids at 3250 down to 2950 in my opinion. But again, playing the range, this would be the setup. Now if you're buying spot, right, totally fine. But range, I wouldn't short these range highs again. You know, with soul pumping, usually funds go into AVAX. All right, but wait until this level is flipped if you want to long. Otherwise, you could take a few scalp plays here. Something like that. This is going to be your spot buy zone. ZRX, another Dino coin I haven't heard in a while. Yikes. That looks like shit. Okay. Got demand zone order block here. Perfectly in line with our SR point. If you're wanting to bid, this would be the area to do so. Supply zone here as well. We took out this whole entire liquidity. Doesn't look great that we had that candle with this candle forming. So we either hold this SR line here, right? Previously support, we went above. If we close above this on the daily, we go to a lower time frame, and your setup would look something like that. That's if we close the daily above. Okay. Otherwise, you're looking for this level here. So I'll post you wouldn't catch me close to a coin like this. I'd rather be close to Diddy. All right, Brett. Ooh. Is this a double top here for Brett? All right, let's see. Let's analyze this. Sorry, one sec. Side chick is calling me. All right. Okay. Demand zone, right? This can come here, put something like this. Was it the 4 hour? Yeah. So you see how we have a move up with the demand zone, right? Consolidation, falling wedge, come back down into that consolidation here, put in a double bottom, right? And then grinds up, right? Same thing with Brett. Falling, this is more of a bull flag, but come back down here, put in a double bottom, and then go higher. Otherwise, if you're taking a confirmation long, retest of this order block / trend line, confirm hold, stops below support, and technical targets of wherever you want to take the first green impulse from. You could take it from here, you could take it from somewhere here. Let's take it from here, right? TP, TP2, and TP3. Otherwise, something like that. Now again, be careful with this because this could be a double top pattern. Right, so I like this green entry better than this scalp one. So I'll put both these here. Bonk I already covered. Mudeng. Same thing here. Technically, we're still in an uptrend. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Okay, we could be your support. This is the area I don't want to lose. Okay. Now we can telegraph maybe where the next drop will be. Ideally, I'd like a wick into this area here. Close above. But this looks like it has a lot more in the tank. Yeah. 52 down to 40, 47 is your buy zone. I take this on spot. And we're looking for at least another expansive move up to at least all-time highs for sure, targeting 86 cents. If, you know, I don't know much about these coins, right? Like, I know this is just hype. So 52 down to 47, manual stops below 41 or 40 cents, and you're targeting at least, what, a 50 or 60% move, 70% move. Yeah. Goat. This has lost structure. it bounces from here, or you play the trend line. I look to short the supply zone. And let's get the golden pocket here. Stops. Target. Yeah, play the trend line. Take it from this low to there. Trend line around 93 cents at this current rate. Golden pocket. Stops below. Something like that. It needs to hold this, right? Otherwise, this is just like it already broke trend, right? If we're talking about, highs, right? If this is your last lower high, we close lower low, and here is your lower high, back down to a lower low, put in a falling wedge, and then go up. Say fractal, right? How's our short doing, by the way? Grisati, is he still in here? Perfect SFP short there. Excuse me. What was I just looking at? Say. Sorry, I digress. Okay. Right. We have resistance. Right. Another deviation. So it needs to hold 48.39. Otherwise, you're looking at this order block here. Okay. Also an SR point we broke out from. So something like wick into here, hopefully close above, and then go higher. It needs to hold. I mean, if you want to play trend lines here, this is your setup. Right, targets, go to a lower time frame to find our stop loss. Probably 46, 47. So tight stop, something like that. Okay. Link AI. I don't know what this is. Whoa. Okay, it touched resistance. Simple range play. Now remember, I don't like these wicks. Looks very, very liquid, plus it's on XC. So definitely a liquid. This is your setup. Yep. Entry at the demand zone. Remember how we were playing the Bitcoin range? I really don't know what this is, but if you're talking about ranges. No need to overcomplicate the ranges. This is it. Popcat. Let me get another chart. Okay. So I discussed this in my stream. Okay. Here's the highs, right? This is the low that I want to sweep. So I'm looking for a sweep of these lows and hold, and then I will long, but here is our range low. So in the video I said this is your buy zone for Popcat, especially with a potential Coinbase listing. Entry, DCA, okay, stops are going to be manual with a daily closure below $1.40. This should bring your average to somewhere here, and once we get that listing, all-time highs from there, right? So if we're talking about structure, like this doesn't look great, especially with this daily or this 4-hour candle. So I'd probably target our conditional trade, wait for these lows to be swept, market long once we close above this on the 4-hour, stops below whatever wick is created, and then we target these highs here. Otherwise, for spot buyers, you're going to limit order from $1.64-ish down to $1.54, and you're going to be targeting highs from there. My viewpoint hasn't changed on this. Data Lake, I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to take a look at it, but Nero. It sounds like garbage. It's probably garbage. Okay. So structure, held, right? Uptrend, clear uptrend, right? Here is the crucial point. So I would like an entry to, if you're buying, I wouldn't care. Entry down to 174, especially with this forming. If this continues to, make an accumulating base, then maybe it's setting up. But whenever you have consolidation on support for this long, especially an SR point, it looks like it's going to give, especially, like if this was a range here. So I'd look for 174 to buy. And again, uptrend is still intact. So as long as we are above with no closures below, that is your buy zone. $174 down to 1.5. Peppy. Sorry, Caleb, I'm just going down the list. Peppy. Okay. Also, one I covered in my video. Now, memes all look like they have the same pattern, right? One that I was very clear with is watching out for a breakout of this coin. we had the breakout, and then we had a fake out. So like playing breakouts, you always want the coin to break out, close above the trend line, wait for that successful retest, close above, and then you can long with your stops, at your validation level. This one clearly broke down. We closed below, right? And if I were to go and draw this trend line cleaner, there's your close below. There's your retest. That was your short trigger. Whoops. Probably stops above here. That was the short trigger. Now it's too late. Going back to here, demand zone, it's been holding. I'm going to remove this trend line. Okay, because now we can draw different types of trend lines. Here is the demand zone. So I'd be buying from 1934 down to 1811 with heavier bids at the 1703. And, hopefully we fill here. And then depending on how low Bitcoin goes, we have an expansive move up. This doesn't look like it wants to completely give yet. Closures below 185. Here. Closures below this support level is when, structure has changed. And then that's when I would manually close it on the daily. But this looks like it wants to fill some bids here before going up. So that is your buy zone, in my opinion. Only joined VIP. Thank you, thank you. Okay. I don't know how many coins are left, but I'm going to do 2 more. We apparently like farm animals, so let's stick with the concept. This chart looks like doo-doo. Also, a lot of doo-doo at the farm. I'm probably going back down to order block and range lows. Yep. All these daily and 4-hour candles on meme coins look terrible. They all have bearish engulfing candles. Well, I wouldn't say all, but what is this coin? That's where I would buy it let me take that back. That's where you would buy if you're interested in this coin. This chart doesn't look bullish. I don't see any buy triggers unless that is hit. I don't see even conditional triggers above here. These wicks are disgusting, but that's where you would buy. I'm just going to call it rats. Reading questions. Maker. I feel like I've given this one. Aladdin, I think this is the same play that I gave you last time. You're the only person that I take a look at with Maker is you. But I think this is the play that I gave last time, and it filled perfectly. All TPs hit. Now, we are at supply here. Let's go to a lower time frame. We're consolidating under resistance here. So either here's our small range, daily range. So either we go back to testing support one more time, which will be the third touch. Then it'll constitute a consolidating bull flag here. Or if we get a deeper retrace in the markets, then we're going to play the retest of 1277. Right? This would be a spot play. This coin is very volatile on leverage, and I don't know every stop that I've given or I've taken on this trade personally and with leverage has wicked me out. Because I mean, like look at this wick. This wick here was $60. 5% wick. Like look at these. So too volatile on spot, but I'd buy there. Invalidation would be below this. So something like this. Break this. We still haven't broken structure to the upside really. Like if this was our last I want to get above this supply zone, and then we can put in a serious change. Yeah, this will run if we can get above this. But also, I mean, so Caleb, if ETH runs, I think this runs, right? It's a ETH beta. Yeah. ETH runs, this will run, LDO will run, OP will run, but we're being cucked by ETH. I thought we were having the start of the run yesterday, but ETH will, like I said, it's going to be putting in one of the most heated and hated rallies eventually, right? It's just being suppressed for too long. So I highly recommend having some ETH exposure, whether it's spot or a swing low leverage play, but that's just my perspective. Again, I'm buying down to 2850. All right, but this will run if we can just break out and flip this supply zone, flip this back into support. Notice how we haven't been able to, right? We had a brief support flip there, but then back below. So break above here, 1660-ish, and then we should go grind higher. All right. But let me post this short time frame entries. So you can play the support here again at 1416-ish. Stops probably below 1380. It's a bull flag. Otherwise, you bid 1277.